Her unexpected crush was written in fate. Before their crucial meeting, she was engaged to another man. Her shoes were covered with pearls, and a long veil adorned her hair. The delicate neck of the young woman was decorated with emerald jewelry. All these details suited the blue-eyed bride wonderfully. She watched with pleasure as her image was completed with finishing touches. It was the young daughter of Count Roland, named Lily. She was destined to become part of the royalty of the New Moon Kingdom. The girl couldn't wait to show her dress to the fiancé. The maids reported that he had gone to the greenhouse. By custom, the bride should not see the groom before the wedding, but Lily did not mind. I had known Prince Richard Stuart since childhood, and they were very close. He was the first guy with whom she tried many new things, and with whom she fell in love. Her heart overflowed with tender wishes and dreams of happiness together. The young woman wanted to find him, and stopped when she heard some familiar voices. She hid behind the foliage, and saw him flirting with a certain belle. He passionately kissed his red-haired lover, a romance that he kept hidden. Even more serious was that Bella was Lily's sister. Richard called her a little girl, with whom he was boring, and did not want love. He called her his best pleasure, while she moaned enthusiastically. Her moment of passion was interrupted by a strange creaking of a flower pot. They immediately looked in front, catching an unexpected visitor in the greenhouse. The lovebirds felt a chill when they were discovered by the bride herself. Lily froze, asking Richard to explain that situation. However, it was outraged. She asked him how he could do such a thing to his own sister. Bella just smiled sarcastically and asked him why he was meddling in the prince's affairs. He confidently approached his sister and told her that Richard knew what he was doing. Lily abruptly pulled away from her wayward sister and demanded that he leave her alone. He shook her so hard that Bella accidentally flew backwards. The girl trembled with feigned terror and addressed Her Highness in a trembling voice. Richard squeezed Lily's hand sharply and ordered her not to speak to Bella in that tone. He told her that her marriage had been forced and that she should forget about it. He addressed the other girls sweetly and proposed to join them. The prince tried to kiss his fiancée, but she was burning with revulsion. She bit him with all her might on the thumb and sank her nails into his hand. Richard felt a sharp pain and stepped back, calling her to mind. He moved so sharply that he unintentionally hit his hated fiancée. The blow hit his face, leaving a bruised mark on it. The young woman cried and threatened to tell her father about his affair with the illegitimate daughter of a witch. Richard froze instantly, understanding that this would not come for free. Lily plucked up her courage and stood up thoughtfully from the cold tile. She calmly declared that the marriage between the Stuarts and the Rolands would not happen. The young woman thought she had finished, but a feminine hand reached out to her. Bella, in an instant, caught her in a steely embrace. Threatening, he said he would force her to be silent forever. Lily didn't even react when she felt the brevity in her mouth. The girl reacted by remembering that it was the poison created by Bella. Suddenly, he remembered the day he found the girl in the forest. He never imagined that one day he would be in the place of that rabbit. She tried to resist, but Bella held her down until she drank the poison. Lily immediately tried to cough, feeling the poison burn her throat. Bella only smiled maliciously. Knowing that her sister was coughing up blood, he theatrically declared that the prince's fiancée had died on the eve of the wedding. Richard played along and proposed tying her to a horse and then sending her to the field. They were sure that the monsters would devour her because of the red moon. Lily's exhausted body suffered from his treacherous plan until the evening. In a moment she found herself on the floor, completely alone. She thought she would die soon when she saw a claw in front of her. The monster gently picked up the snow-white girl in his arms. His eyes were burning red, and it was unknown what exactly he was planning. A huge wolf watched the girl intently. Girl illuminated by the red moon, he hastened to take her to his castle, situated in a secluded place. When Lily opened her eyes, she thought that a real angel was hovering over her. She decided that God had sent her to paradise, and closed her blue eyes. The next instant, he realized unexpectedly that she was still alive. I didn't understand who this girl was, who was standing motionless by the bed. The maid bowed her head and said that Lily was waking up. Lily immediately got out of bed and began to ask where she was. The maid, smiling, introduced herself as Catherine and said that she was safe now. He explained that they were in the mansion of the Twilight Shadow. He added that all the wasteland of Yarrow belongs to the Duke. The man looked thoughtfully at the guest and snapped his fingers naturally. As soon as he did that, all the candles in the castle were lit instantly. He towered over the girl and introduced himself as His Royal Highness Isaac Stuart. Lily was surprised. Since he was the younger brother of the current king, he was a very important person in the Crescent Kingdom. Isaac was considered crown prince and future successor to the throne. He performed great military feats, as well as being very rich and handsome. Due to his fondness for black magic, he deviated from the path and isolated himself as a hermit. Since then he disappeared, without leaving any trace for the kingdom. Lily got out of bed and made a bow, thanking for her rescue. He wanted to finish the greeting, but his head, treacherous, began to turn. In the next instant, he accidentally fell right into Isaac's arms. He did not have to introduce himself, as he pronounced his name himself. Lily barely reacted and realized that he was hugging her against his chest. With a movement, he pulled her to her feet and told her that he knew her. Isaac called her the unfortunate girl who almost became the prince's concubine. She added that the black magic and poison affected her a lot, causing her to fall into a coma. The man sternly ordered her not to be nice to him and to go to rest. Lily froze, realizing that she had slept for 2 days and missed her wedding to Richard. The girl suddenly felt the full weight of responsibility. Her hands shook, just thinking about what would happen to her parents. He also remembered Bella, who both wanted to take her place as a fiancée. Because of all those thoughts, the young woman's body trembled even more. Isaac looked through her and asked if she was thinking about revenge. She was paralyzed when she heard that her fiancé, her childhood sweetheart, and her sister are illegitimate. They betrayed her, giving her a poison that ran her heart and bones. Isaac coldly asked if he hated them, without showing any emotion. Lily hated them with all her soul, but she had nothing to take revenge on. He understood that against these two people his forces would be insufficient. The girl felt the despair growing, but Isaac calmed her down, saw her tears, and demanded that she stop ducking her head. Isaac stroked her tear-soaked face and asked her to look at him. He looked her straight in the eyes and told her that he could teach her everything. She added that all those skills could help her get revenge. Isaac said that if he accepted, he would have to stay at the Twilight Mansion. Lily was still crying, but her words gave her hope. Isaac squeezed the back of her neck, telling her to stay with him. Apparently, the girl was both stunned and embarrassed. She understood that she had nowhere to go, which made her think about the proposal. I used to hear that he was extremely arrogant and proud. Although he saved her, the Stuart's blood still ran through her veins. He bowed respectfully, not knowing if she could trust him. Lily said she was already engaged, which could lead to rumors. He added that he should make a decision after talking to his father. The young woman assumed that her mother would be worried about her absence. She turned her gaze to him and begged him to take her back. The proud man was stunned, not understanding his rejection. Despite the outrage, he responded to the request with a nod. Lily was glad and hurried past Isaac Stuart. She had barely taken a couple of steps when he held her wrist. The girl looked surprised at the one who, recently, had agreed to her request. He asked her if she really intended to take a pajama ride on the moor. I think it was only now that she realized she was wearing a nightgown. Lily immediately pulled away from Isaac and hurried to cover her chest. The owner of the house sighed wearily and turned to the maid. He ordered them to prepare riding clothes and also a horse. Lily was still embarrassed by the way she dressed. By the end, he was getting ready to return home. Lily was happily petting the animal, begging him to return her to the Roland mansion. He managed to connect with the animal, and together they set off on the journey. Isaac Stuart was thoughtfully watching the receding silhouette. The maid asked if he really intended to let her go just like that. She was the only daughter of Saint Andrew, born by divine blessing. She has every right to inherit the magic potion formula. Isaac had felt the influence of his blood on him before. she was able to restore him to his normal appearance and sanity. The maiden said that it was the best way to break the curse and return to the palace. The lord of the manor started scheming how he could use it. He decided to send a couple of crows to keep an eye on the girl. The man stretched out his hand, and a bird landed on it. She said that Lily should be helped when she desperately needs it. Meanwhile, the girl almost ran to the Roland mansion. He shouted that he had returned, and then he felt a terrible shock. Before her stood a coffin, covered with white flowers. The girl could barely get close to the coffin, and saw her mother inside. She was so shocked that she almost couldn't hold back a scream. She was staring at the one who recently was supposed to be at her wedding. Lily fell to the ground in front of the body, unable to believe that it was her mom. Her body was shaking from sobs, while her mind thought it was a joke. She bent over her mother's lifeless body, in agony. Lily turned at the sight of the maid, paralyzed with shock. He immediately started asking her why all that had happened. The head of the maids just screamed at the top of her lungs and said that the killer had returned. Ah was watching the tearful girl, who was publicly accused of murder. It was such a hard blow for Lily that she couldn't even find the words. Soon after, she was locked in the dungeon of the tower of Duke Roland's mansion. Lily knocked hard on the door when she heard someone approaching. She immediately shouted that she wanted to see her father, and that she had been unjustly locked up. He fell to his knees while still banging on the door with his hands. The girl put her head down and said she wanted to find her mother's killer. He narrowed his eyes at the bright light as he saw the door wide open. Lily expected to meet with anyone, but never with her enemy. In front of her stood the traitorous Bella, drinking tea with a triumphant air. He poured the tea cheekily and said he had heard her screams. Bella assumed that his voice was already hoarse and offered him a cup of tea. He smiled mockingly at the young woman as the cup remained empty. Immediately, Lily accused her sister of everything she had done. In response, she just smiled and hinted that they did not want to see her. He slid a finger across her face and asked her who she was waiting for. The girl told that after Lily's escape, he suffered a heart attack. Those words hit Lily like a hard blow, robbing her of all hope. Bella smiled and said she should prepare his medicine for him. Lily squeezed her hand and looked into her eyes, as if something was breaking inside her. She told him directly that God would punish Bella for ruining her father and mother. As soon as he finished speaking, a slap resounded on his face. Bella became serious instantly and revealed to him that Lily appeared in the search brochures. He added that she would be executed the next day for the crimes of which she was accused. Bella detailed her entire plan to him, which was being carried out perfectly. It seemed that everything was calculated to the millimeter, and hope was mercilessly abandoning Lily. She finally understood that Bella and Richard wanted to get rid of her. Bella conveyed the words of the prince, who was tired of playing with Lily. He bent over the girl and said that what he loved most were fame and the throne. Lily got up and concluded that she always ruined his plans. He looked at the witch and asked what his father and mother had done to them. The girl squeezed Bella's neck and screamed, demanding an answer to her question. She remembered how her father picked her up after wandering with her witch mother. Lily always treated her like a blood sister, no matter her background. Even her mother considered Bella her daughter and taught her everything about medicine. Lily screamed louder, asking why he had murdered them. Bella froze and said that she gave Lily the opportunity to hang herself. He was surprised that I changed it for a moral lesson. The next instant, Bella recited a spell, and the room burst into light. His eyes were burning with a green fire, ready to wipe out everything. That force knocked a girl to the ground instantly and immobilized her hands. Bella towered over Lily Roland and said she had always hated her. She envied that her mother had her with love, when hers was just a homeless witch. They both fell in love with her, Richard, but the father made a deal just for Lily. Bella could only watch everything in silence and feel envy. Lily immediately asked why he blamed them for what they didn't give him. Bella turned around and said that after her death, she would keep everything. He hid behind the door and added that he would even take her body. He said goodbye to the girl, who was bound by a thorny ivy. Lily, exhausted, lowered her head and turned to the crown prince. She shivered and admitted that she was sorry she had left recently. The girl burst into tears with more force and said that she wanted revenge. A crow appeared next to him, announcing that he had heard his wish. He was watching her from behind, making sure she couldn't see him. After his words, the ivy behind the girl shone brightly. The raven directed a new wave of magic to destroy her completely. His powerful blow was able to break the windows of the prison tower. The next moment, Lily felt her hands go free. With amazement, he realized that he was now completely free. The young woman looked intently at the raven that was flying towards her. This one flew straight at her, showing a huge ring on her paw. Lily began to examine the peculiar little bird. The raven instantly protested, demanding to be called Karen, and not a simple bird. Karen Farrell proudly named herself the Crown Prince's most reliable spy. He said that he was coming for her under his master's orders to return her to the mansion. Lily didn't immediately get into everything I was telling her. She asked about their escape plan, as Bella sent the guards. Raven called her silly and asked, "Why do birds need wings?" He took to the sky and said that wings are necessary to fly. He perched on the windowsill and said that no one would ever be able to reach them. The bird ordered him to move and climb on him instantly. The little bird's words seemed so absurd to him that he froze. Somehow, he climbed on the sill and got ready for action. As soon as he saw the height, his confidence completely vanished. She asked what they should do now, because her fear of heights was invading her. The bird ordered him to simply trust and jump down. Lily couldn't quite trust the bird's words and trembled even more. His fear was increasing because of the gentleman who noticed the lack of shutters in the cell. They saw Lily and ordered her to be captured immediately. This made her realize that death was waiting for her anyway. She jumped downstairs, deciding it was better to die, so to be publicly hanged. The girl closed her eyes tightly, feeling that her end was approaching. Her astonishment was immense when she found herself mounted on a huge bird. I was impressed by the monstrous dimensions of Karen Farrell. He ordered her to hold onto her feathers and prepare for the blows. At that moment, the guards just noticed the giant crow. They immediately noticed the use of black magic and shouted. That gave them the certainty that she was an evil witch. Lily understood that her previous life was destroyed and accepted her fate. He was clinging securely to the wings of the bird, flying over the forests. After a while, they finally arrived at the Crown Prince's castle. He carefully prepared new clothes for her and took care of her comfort. Lily still had a hard time accepting that she was now far from home. She went upstairs and noticed that necklace from her wedding. Before, this necklace belonged to his mother, who I loved more than anything. The emerald necklace was passed down from generation to generation to the women in his family. That day was supposed to mark a happy marriage. Also for Lily, the young woman remembered with bitterness all those destroyed moments. She burst into tears with renewed the force. Feeling rage over his mother's death, Lily felt determination and promised that he would definitely take revenge for her. He wanted them to pay in blood for everything they had done. She pushed away her thoughts and tears when the door to her room opened. Isaac was standing in front of her, asking if she had everything decided. The young woman looked thoughtfully at her new benefactor. He unexpectedly declared that from that day on, she was the owner of the Twilight Mansion. Lily was surprised and thought there must be some mistake. She instantly bowed and thanked him for the help and shelter. He was worried that this could be dangerous for him, since now she is a criminal. The girl decided to ask directly what she wanted to receive in return. Isaac said that it was very smart to decide to see the situation from his point of view. He approached the girl and directly stated that he needed her blood. The man slowly took the necklace from her hands to help her put it on. He told that some years ago a curse hit him and she could help him. Isaac asked that every month, on the night of the full moon, he would give his blood for medicine. It seemed to him that she would be frightened, but she turned away immediately. The girl firmly opened her eyelids to see the color of her eyes. She started unbuttoning her shirt, saying she was very offended. I think he was the one who was the most surprised with what was happening. The next instant, she revealed her breast and he saw a dark mark. She instantly recognized that they were the ties of the lunar crown. She immediately understood why he wanted to leave the royal family. She knew that every full moon night, she turned into monster. Moreover, on every moonless night, he suffered from terrible pain. He must have been going crazy little by little, to the point of destroying those he loves. Lily immediately assumed that Mr. Crow was also cursed. Isaac explained that the raven has been with him since he bought it at the market. Everything changed that night when a witch invaded them. He attacked them stealthily, causing them to experience immense pain. Karen shared the curse with him, weakening her a little. If he hadn't, Isaac would have turned into a beast by now. Since then, they have lived isolated together, without contact with people. That night, he engraved in his memory the face of the powerful witch. He swore that he would make her pay 1,000 times more for her suffering. He caressed Lily and told her that their stories were, in part, similar. To his surprise, the girl calmly accepted his proposal. He smiled and said it was a very convenient deal in exchange for his help. Lily smiled and offered to prepare soothing and analgesic herbs for him. A servant interrupted them, bringing a letter from Her Majesty. Immediately, the image of her master drinking blood appeared before her. The girl blushed instantly, feeling totally out of place. She laughed and promised not to reveal her dark little secret to anyone. Lily began to justify herself, claiming that she just wanted to see her symptoms. The maiden reassured her, saying that the ties of the lunar crown were a rare curse. He marveled that Lily had a way to alleviate such a curse. Lily explained that she had no experience, but she was good at pharmacy. He thought that maybe he could create a medicine using his own blood. Lily smiled slyly and asked if she could afford this saving grace. That same day, Isaac asked for a guest room to be prepared for him. Lily was in the 7th heaven, full of happiness and joy. Isaac, hospitable, gave him a real tour of the house. The young woman also received permission to grow herbs. Isaac took her to a separate room, perfect for a laboratory. Lily felt a great astonishment at the dimensions of that space. She joyfully thanked the man and promised to prepare a medicine for him. Isaac loved to observe how much she was happy. He announced the end of the tour and told her to call the servants if she needed anything. Lily saw him walking away and felt an immense urge to tell him something. Finally, he plucked up the courage and decided to turn to Crown Prince Isaac. She immediately approached him and asked him what he was up to. Lily confessed to noticing her mood change after reading the letter. He expressed his hope that he would be able to help him as his faithful ally. The man thoughtfully observed the girl full of enthusiasm. He turned away from her sharply and told her that she should not intrude. His words hurt her deeply because he was only looking for her good. While preparing the potion, she understood that maybe he did not want her friendship. The girl looked at her reflection and reminded herself that she was no longer a princess. She wielded the knife, repeating that she was only wanted for her blood. Lily chose to leave him alone and give him what he craved so much. Afterwards, he planned to use it to achieve his own goals. Karen pulled her out of her musings, asking what smelled so good. Lily screamed at him instantly when he started drinking the potion. He said it was a test, but the room was flooded with light. The next second, a dark and naked guy appeared in front of her. Although he was testing the effectiveness of the potion, he felt very good, uncomfortable. Her scream attracted Catherine, who immediately brought clothes. Karen felt guilty for having scared Miss Lily. It's been a long time since he was last human. Lily concluded that the presence of her blood in the potion influenced. She warned him that he only had noon. Before becoming a raven, Karen asked if she could keep the shape longer by using other materials. Lilia felt, but that was yet to be proven. She understood that such treasures would be difficult to get anywhere. Karen squeezed her hands and proposed to go to the market together. He looked at her almost pleadingly, forcing her to accept. The girl did not have time to react when he grabbed her by the hand and pulled. She was trying to remind him that she was wanted and she might be arrested. Despite everything, he just smiled and begged her to trust him. He winked playfully, assuring him that he would be fine. In the end, he dressed her in a costume of his tribe, the full tribe. He let out a laugh and claimed that he was wearing his clothes now. She involuntarily imagined what that spider would look like in women's clothes. Then, they rushed to visit a magic materials store. They were greeted at the door by a girl who, apparently knew Karen. He immediately ordered her to keep quiet, and added that the rules remained the same. The girl looked thoughtfully at her companion, and drew her own conclusions. She waved her hand, and promised that she could keep it, all in secret. Karen explained that they knew each other because Isaac came here often. The owner of this store had an amazing talent for finding treasures. He would have the opportunity to check it out when a chest was brought to him. It contained authentic mermaid scales, a potent material for potions. Karen reached into her pocket, assuring him that he would get it. He took out a bag full of gold, proving that they had enough money. At that moment, Bella entered the store. She also needed scales. Lily felt a sudden terror when she saw her sister appear. She froze, trying to hide her face from the girl. The young woman wrapped herself even more tightly in her shawl, as if she wanted to disappear. Bella was watching her like a predator watching its prey. She asked how a simple full maid could afford such purchases. Bella quickly snatched up the jar with scales from his hands. He smiled and assumed that he wanted to prepare an aphrodisiac. The girl cheekily held out the jar and said she was going to buy it. The seller explained that another buyer had already bought the scales. Bella said Fahel's tribe were just poor people who didn't even have a country. He held out a coin and said he would give double what they had paid. Karen quietly told Lily that she felt like punching her in the jaw. Lily trembled and whispered that she was making a puppet elixir. It seems that Karen did not understand what that elixir is and why she is so afraid. The girl repeated that these materials are used to create it. It forced the victim to lose his mind and become a puppet that obeys other people's orders. Lily assumed that she was preparing that medicine for her father. He decided to defy his sister and took the bottle in his hand. The girl discreetly scattered its contents so that it fell right on her back. Bella immediately turned around indignantly and asked what she was doing. The girl smiled and said that, as a gift, she would give him rain moth scale dust for stealing his things. He added that coming into contact with the skin could cause patting. Bella felt an intense itch and immediately began to insult the girl. He barely had time to react. Karen put a knife to his neck and said she didn't care who he was. He explained that she had humiliated him according to the rules of his clan, the Fall clan. The girl felt a shiver of terror when she heard him say that he could take her life. The shopkeeper added that it was best if she quickly apologized to the respected guest. Karen smiled and said that it was not her intention to cause any inconvenience. He ordered her to kneel down and apologize to her sister. Bella cursed him internally for daring to do such a thing. I knew I could use black magic and reduce the whole store to ashes. She recalled that the owner, Isis, knew which family she belonged to. He was disturbed by the reverential respect he showed towards the members of the tribe. She understood that she should not cause him problems. To his family, Bella trampled on her pride and knelt down in front of the girl. Every word cost him a world, but he managed to apologize. Karen repeated all his insults, and she took them all to heart. Lily calmly replied that she was not going to take his words seriously. She extended her hand towards the humiliated witch. The girl demanded that her own mermaid scales be returned to her. Bella reluctantly held out the test tube to him, without saying a single word. He also asked that all the materials Bella named be sent to his castle. He ordered Isis that from now on, that store would not sell him a single leaf. Isis immediately agreed politely and decided to go to the warehouse. Lily looked victoriously at her sister, secretly promising herself that this was only the beginning. She declared that they were done with affairs, after which Karen let Bella go. The witch fell to the ground humiliatingly after her push. She ordered herself to endure it, promising to pay them for the humiliation. Bella watched as her attackers, whom she wanted to annihilate, moved away. He carefully observed the painfully familiar gestures of the girl. He recognized in her, Lily, who was always praised for her elegance. Meanwhile, Richard was spending his time having fun with other ladies. Her joy lasted until the moment Bella arrived. She tore off the blindfold furiously and glared at him. He was instantly outraged, telling her that he had forbidden her to visit without permission. Bella burst into tears and apologized, but he continued to insult her. She explained that her disfigured face was the work of her sister. Richard remembered, surprised, that she had said that Lily escaped thanks to black magic. She told how she came across a painfully familiar girl at the market. Bella added that she had become involved with a barbarian from a tribe. Richard immediately remembered how she played the prude and wouldn't let him kiss her. Bella continued to cry, talking about how she had endured such humiliations. She decided to involve Richard in this, and he said they didn't even forgive him. Bella moaned, saying that people consider him frivolous, silly and selfish. She pulled the right thread, saying that he does not even come to Isaac's heels. Meanwhile, Karen was laughing at the obnoxious Bella's swollen face. He enjoyed, saying that there is nothing sweeter than revenge. Lily was pleased with how much the store owner had helped them. Raven replied that Isis is the most capable woman in her clan and would not allow her people to be humiliated. She also added that she wanted to repay them for their kindness. Lily was still paying attention to his words until she saw Isaac himself. He was standing in the middle of the main hall, in complete solitude. He looked at the time and asked if they had liked the old streets. He seems to have been annoyed at how late they came back. After a brief chat, Lily went to her bedroom. She exhaled warily, feeling the brush in her hair. He confessed to the maiden with sadness that he angered Isaac. Lily explained why they went to the city, but he reacted coldly. She even begged him to forgive her, but it was useless. He only said that henceforth he would not leave the castle without permission. It irritated him that I would try to restrict his freedom in any way. Catherine smiled and said that she simply cared about her. Apparently, Lily was not used to hearing such a thing. The maid told that she returned to the palace with a bouquet in her hands. He checked the whole castle and only then asked Catherine. She calmed down knowing that Karen had gone with her. Then, he continued to wait in the castle hall for them to return. He kept looking at his pocket watch. Isaac was afraid that she was still unwell because of her mother's death. Catherine showed the bouquet and added that she finds it difficult to express her feelings in words. It seems that his explanation radically changed the whole situation. Lily looked thoughtfully at the lilies that he had collected for her. After a while, she decided to look for him to thank him. He was just trying to vent his anger in training. The girl commented out loud how late she was training. She came up softly from behind and asked him what was bothering him. The man only coldly reminded her that he had asked her not to meddle in his affairs. He looked at her and told her that he would accompany her back to her room. The girl decided to ask him directly. If anything, he was afraid of losing his savings. He stood transfixed, not understanding why she had come to that conclusion. Lily just pointed out for sure that her reaction confirmed it. She approached him and told him that she knew about the rumors about the Stuart family. It was obvious that his nephew Richard was eager to take over the throne. He longed to use the Rowland family to consolidate his power. Lily was sure that whoever cast the curse was looking to embarrass and depose him. She suggested that he think about who among his close ones would benefit the most from this. As soon as she finished speaking, he suddenly approached her. Lily blushed and said that she should not meddle in her family affairs. Isaac replied that although she was smart, she needed to think it through. They went on, talking about that soon her brother would give a family dinner at the palace. He understood that his absence would be interpreted as disinterest in politics. Isaac was sure that, in that case, he would be removed from his position as crown prince. Lily was shocked to hear him say that that would happen on the day of the blood moon. She mentioned how many rumors are circulating about him for living in isolation. The man smiled and said that this banquet was prepared especially for him. Lily understood that the blood moon caused the transformation into a monster. Isaac said he should attend and asked for a potion to be prepared for him. Lily smiled and promised that everything would turn out fine. He smiled back at her and said he would be eagerly waiting for her help. Isaac suddenly remembered that he needed a dance partner and invited her. The proposal embarrassed the girl, but she could not refuse. Her bright smile faded as she remembered that Richard would be attending as well. He suddenly said that they would give him a new name and change his appearance. He called her Princess Lilith of the ancient Leone and proposed to her to be his fiancée. Lilith instantly blushed at the man's gallant gesture. 3 days later, Isis was leisurely strolling through the market. He kept calm until he heard screams about a fire. The young woman discovered that her entire village, including the store, was on fire. Meanwhile, Richard waited warily for news of his servant. The mercenary bowed and said that he had done everything as ordered. Richard asked where the man they had been asked to find was. He held out a chest and said that she was hiding in the tent of the man from the Flowe tribe. Richard thoughtfully opened the chest, waiting for the confirmation of death. There lay a hair, reduced to ashes, and an emerald necklace. Meanwhile, Isis was just chatting with Lily. The girl predicted the fire and managed to prepare a fake body. Isis thanked her for managing to take the valuable goods and that they would no longer look for her. Lily smiled and thanked him for the cooperation in return. Isis decided to discuss that fire was caused by Prince Richard. I could hardly believe that he cared. Lily immediately explained that this red-haired woman is her lover. She apologized for the argument, knowing how many people suffered. Isis told him not to apologize and added that he did not regret his help. He stared at her and told her not to die in front of a wild beast, and if he became enraged, he urged him to flee or counterattack without hesitation. Lily watched the saleswoman carefully, vowing to remember every word. She got up decisively, asking not to be called Lady Roland. She demanded to be considered dead. Duke Roland's daughter perished in the fire. After that conversation, he decided that he needed a break, an urgent walk. It seemed that the latest events were crushing her, an unbearable weight. He came to when he heard a familiar voice echoing beside him. Isaac, straight to the point, asked her what had her so tormented. Despite the success of the operation, the guilt consumed her inside mercilessly. The man looked into her eyes and asked if she blamed herself for the deaths. Lily didn't say a word, but her silence said absolutely everything. He said the store burned down because his relatives are evil and horrible. The girl was silent for a moment and declared that she no longer blamed herself for it. She firmly regretted that she had not finished with Bella that day. Isaac smiled and said that he saw more and more thirst for revenge in his eyes. He said that in that situation, Karen would not have been able to do anything to Bella. She held out a sharp blade to him and told him to take care of it herself. The girl decisively pulled out the sharp blade and stared at him. Instantly, he saw the reflection of her bright blue eyes. Lily got ready to attend the banquet and asked what she should learn. Isaac told her that she used to be very respected in ancient Lani. He said that all the generals and officials in that country were women. The man snatched the knife from him and came closer, saying that he won again. The girl looked timidly at Isaac, who was provoking her. He added that, in addition to fencing, he should learn to ride a horse. A thorough study of etiquette and art awaited him. All these abilities were highly valued by the nobles of Lani, who revere the queen. Isaac also made sure his dressmaker made him a dress. The old woman took measurements with attention to the slender Lily. The man devoted himself with care to the education of the young woman. She had to master their language and history in a month. In Laonia, there lived a clan that enjoyed the favor of the gods. Royal women were born with a powerful ancestral white magic. They could control the natural elements and purify the filth. They lived in peace for a long time, but the change came stealthily. Soon, some men who were eager to overthrow the queen decided to summon a demon. The heretics, strengthened by worshipping the devil, called themselves witches. They revered evil deeds in exchange for the power of curses. In the end, they angered the gods and unleashed the heavenly punishment. Soon the lands began to collapse, and rains of fire plunged the kingdom into chaos. Since then, witches have been considered treacherous beings, and they exile them and burn them. Lily remembered that this volcanic eruption happened the year she was born. He asked what happened to Leonia's royal family. Isaac replied that they loved their land and its people above all else. They came to the point of accepting a death as martyrs as an honor. They fought the disasters to the end, and then they were buried at the bottom of the sea. It is rumored that a descendant of Laonia escaped to the kingdom of the Crescent. For a while, Isaac searched for her, being interested in her power. Unfortunately, he couldn't find anything about her. Lily said that she understood his abilities and would try to undo his curse of the lunar crown. The test will be that he does not transform into monster under the blood moon. She thought that whoever cast the spell on her would think that she has managed to break it. Lily was sure that the culprit was definitely. I would take a second step. Isaac noticed the concern in her eyes and told her that it was not too late to give up. However, Lily was willing to stick with him to the end. She smiled and told him that he needed her. He also added that he couldn't get through this alone. Lily asked him not to worry and said that he just needed to learn the language. From that moment, the girl diligently studied the ancient language of Laonia. She spent hours and hours in the office, immersed in books. Sometimes, she would fall asleep over the manuals, studying late. Isaac found her like this from time to time and tucked her in carefully. Even when she was asleep, she promised to study hard, so as not to embarrass her family. Isaac admired her tenacity, but he was worried about her hidden sadness. He could only take her gently to her room, without saying a word. He even seemed to enjoy carrying her down the long hallway. The man placed it with care on the bed, as if it were a fragile flower. He wanted to leave the room, but something forced him to stop. Isaac felt a sudden dizziness, and his heart beat hard. His breathing was so strong and heavy that even woke Lily up. She was surprised to see the sweat running down her face. Isaac tried to keep his composure and apologized to him. The young woman understood what was happening and squeezed his hand uneasily. She asked him directly if the curse was causing him pain. Pain again. He hugged her tightly when she suggested using his blood. Isaac stood transfixed on her, feeling how desire dominated him. He thoughtfully inhaled the aroma of her delicate hand, as if savoring the moment. As soon as he imagined the taste, his fangs immediately lengthened. Immediately, in an instant, he laid her down on the bed, but she did not put up any resistance. His distant gaze could be frightening, but she remained silent. Lily shivered as his sharp claw came up to her slender neck. I had never seen anything like this, and it was the first time I had seen it like this. As soon as he felt her breath, he immediately begged her not to. Isaac didn't want to stop and put his fangs close to his neck. I wanted to sink my teeth into him, but at the last moment, he understood what was happening. He could not afford to hurt Lily, and immediately turned away from her. Isaac squeezed his head, repeating that he was doing wrong. Lily watched his inner struggle with concern. The man clenched his jaw and ordered her not to look at him like that. He gathered up his courage and shot out of his room. Catherine looked with interest at her exalted master. Every one of his attacks he let pass, deep wounds in his heart. Meanwhile, Lily prepared the potion and left her room. He went out on the balcony and discovered the ominous red moonlight. The young woman understood what it meant and decided to hurry. The next instant, he saw Isaac holding back his transformation with the last one's forces. Lily had only read about it in books before, but now she was seeing it live. Isaac's entire body was in excruciating pain, caused by the curse. Catherine begged him to help her, saying that she had never been in such pain before. Isaac thought differently and ordered Lily to leave if she appreciated her life. Lily understood that she didn't mean it meanly, but she still felt uncomfortable. He came over and told her that she could just take the potion if she didn't want to see it. However, he just threw the jar and ordered her to get the hell out. The girl scolded him, comparing him to a spoiled and disobedient child. She decided to act differently, and she poured the potion into her mouth herself. The next moment she kissed him, without even giving him time to think about it. She hugged him tightly, until she was sure that he had swallowed everything. As soon as he swallowed the potion, his ears disappeared instantly. The man, without strength, collapsed right on his beautiful savior. Lily had to keep in mind that he fell asleep right after drinking the potion. Catherine watched her master thoughtfully as he slept. 3 days later, Lily made the potion again. Catherine joyfully announced that her dress for the banquet was ready. Lily was surprised and replied that her potion was not ready yet. The maid took his hand and told him to finish it later. She smiled and declared that Isaac had prepared a surprise for her. Lily blushed when she heard that he had actually prepared something. I haven't seen him in 3 days since they kissed. The young woman hurried to the crown prince's room. He calmly announced that her dress was ready and suggested that she try it on. The girl shyly thanked him and hurried to take a look. She thoughtfully examined a small golden box. As soon as she opened it, she immediately noticed a luxurious necklace. She wanted to express her astonishment, but he had already left the room. He himself understood what she meant about those emeralds. Actually, in front of her was her mother's modernized necklace. Before simulating the burning corpse, he replaced it with a fake one. Lily said to wear the real jewel, but he didn't want to do it. He could not shake the feeling that this relic should not be discarded. In the end, he said that he would understand if she got angry with him. He clearly did not expect her to embrace him with gratitude. The girl began to thank him, for she thought she would never see him again. She smiled radiantly and said she was going to try on the dress. Lily wiped away a tear and said that I had given her the best gift in the world. Isaac was left thinking deeply whether he had really been able to reward her. She helped him in spite of everything, accepting him as he was. The man involuntarily put his fingers to his nose and noticed that they smelled alliums. The long-awaited day came when they had to attend the banquet. The haughty Marquis Celine Gestia was also present at it. Everyone was shocked to see her appear after such a long time. They believed that their visit was due to the presence of Crown Prince Isaac. Richard was the first to speak to him, asking if he was looking for his cowardly uncle. He smiled and suggested that surely now he runs naked through the undergrowth. Richard kissed her hand and invited her to dance to open the ball. He expected the favor of the peculiar lady, but she sharply rejected him. The Marquise said she wouldn't dance with someone who causes fires. Immediately, everyone started muttering about the old market burning down. The Marchioness continued to stand, bored. After embarrassing the prince, she looked forward thoughtfully and asked who that vulgar upstart was. The Marquise pointed to Bella, gaudily dressed and full of absurd ornaments. The prince said, embarrassed, that he had never seen her, and that he did not know who she was. Belle approached the Marquise and introduced herself as the eldest daughter of Duke Roland. He mentioned that after Lily's death, her father became ill and entrusted all affairs to her. She approached the prince and told him that she would replace her sister and be a worthy bride. Everyone was shocked to hear about the arrival of Isaac Stewart. They expected to see a crazed beast, but they saw an elegant man. The Marquise Celine Gestia beamed, preparing to receive Prince Isaac. He surprised everyone by appearing accompanied by a noble lady. The nobility expected him to be crazy, but what they saw said otherwise. The attendees of the banquet were not slow to comment on the beauty of their companion. Isaac introduced them to the princess of the ancient kingdom of Lenny. He called her his beautiful fiancée, after which she bowed. The man impressed everyone not so much by his fortune, but by having a girlfriend. The prince immediately noticed the exquisite temperament of the princess. Bella only judged her for her falsehood, saying that there are many like her. Richard looked her up and down and asked why she was saying that. The witch leaned close to his ear and whispered a few words to him with sarcasm. Richard smiled maliciously and said he would be interested to see the show. Meanwhile, Celine Gestia still couldn't take her eyes off Lilith. He approached the thoughtful princess, as if scanning it to verify its authenticity. The young woman decided to break the ice and said that the crown prince mentioned her often. The Marquise looked at the young woman with a critical eye. I had asked if Isaac had talked about her. The princess smiled and said that she had heard that they had grown up together. Celine brought a fan to her chin and measured it with an angry look. He called her a princess of unknown origin, of whom Isaac had never spoken. The crown prince was quick to intervene and ordered her not to be rude to his fiancé. Celine snorted indignantly, surprised that she was his fiancé. Richard decided to ask Isaac how the hell he ended up in the palace. He touched the lady's chin and assumed it was an evil wind named Lily. The girl instantly shook his hand and ordered him to disappear. She declared that she would not tolerate humiliations. Like a princess of the ancient kingdom of Laonia, Bella remembered the family history of the goddess and asked how she could be the wife of a cursed prince. Lilith wanted to answer, but Isaac touched her hand gently. He said he had brought her there to debunk all those rumors. After her words, Lilith grabbed Bella's face with impressive speed. He pressed both hands to his temples as if trying to influence her mind. The young woman began to recite an incantation in an ancestral language. The marquis recognized a prayer to the goddess in that language. As soon as she finished, Bella's tiara was transformed into a flowery headband. Lilith commented that Bella looked like a walking jeweler and that she should put on more ornaments. The aristocrats burst out laughing, comparing Bella to a peacock. Isaac, unfazed, attracted attention and proclaimed that this was the power of the lion goddess. He added in a firm voice that she could heal any pain and purify all filth. He looked at his fiancée tenderly and sentenced that she was capable of saving all lives. Bella insisted on her doubt, denying such a possibility, which provoked a condemnation of those present. It turned out that they were using Catherine's potion, creating a mirage for 3 hours. He asked her with a hint of concern if she wasn't afraid that Bella would find out everything. The young woman smiled maliciously and replied that she would soon throw her crown on the ground. Meanwhile, Prince Richard, furious, accused her of embarrassing him and forbade her to approach. Bella was burning with rage and took the crown off her head instantly. Just as Lilith foresaw, she threw the headdress with all her might. After this, he hurried to leave. Feeling his total defeat, Lilith said she would go and talk to her now that she was alone. Issachar felt and asked him to be very careful. The sudden departure of the princess aroused Richard's interest. She smiled sweetly, feeling attraction to Lilith's fiancé. Meanwhile, Bella was consumed by rage and public shame. Mentally, I called Richard a useless and imbecile. Bella smashed her nails until they bled, thinking that no one would treat her like this if she were from another social class. She gritted her teeth and swore that one day they would know what she was capable of. The young woman turned as she heard a familiar voice behind her. There she was, staring at her, Princess Lenny herself. Lilith. The girdle tried to hide her astonishment at seeing Bella. The witch merely returned him a haughty and disdainful look. He stepped back sharply and asked what she was doing when Lilith approached. The princess took his hand gently and looked at his bloody fingers. He immediately pulled out a bandage to give Bella first aid. Bella was stunned by his impeccable and precise gestures. Lilith smiled and promised him that everything would be fine. The witch hallucinated that the noble goddess made her look bad and then forgave her. Lilith said that the era of hostilities of her ancestors was a thing of the past. Bella was surprised when she said that they had much more in common than she thought. Lilith remembered how in those times, witches were the laughingstock of everyone. Moreover, the goddess in the eyes of the nobility was nothing more than an expensive ornament. That's why they were similar, because they were united by a common suffering, a shared pain. Lilith stared at her and said that both of them were treated with the same indignity. Bella was stunned when she asked if she wanted Prince Richard to pay. Lilith, determined to take advantage of the witch's anger, showed her a small bag. He pulled it out of Bella's sleeve and identified that it was a puppet potion. The witch felt the fury and snapped her fingers instantly. She did not want to be caught and decided to annihilate any traces. The girl smiled triumphantly and said she didn't understand anything. Lilith looked at the girl with discontent, without articulating a word. He suggested she calm down, stating that he had no proof. Bella looked at her opponent askance again. Lilith celebrated in her mind, having bandaged her fingers and found the potion. He said he had come after asking the crown prince for permission. The princess announced that the prince was waiting for her and left. He ran into the living room, aware that he had set a trap. In that instant, he felt the murderous aura emanating from Bella. She squeezed her dress, aware that she had to save her father now. She did not manage to move forward when a hand suddenly intercepted her. The man grabbed the princess's waist and pulled her to him. Lilith turned and saw Prince Richard's languid smile. He scrutinized him instantly and ordered him to behave decently. It seemed that my words only amused him, and he kept moving forward. He squeezed my shoulders, saying that in the face of such beauty it was impossible. Lilith rushed to punch him in the ribs to free herself. Prince Richard sobbed up in pain, and she took the opportunity to run away. She was trying to run away as fast as she could, which provoked his laughter. He stared at her and warned her that it would not be so easy to escape. Lilith stopped and examined the surroundings, which looked like a dead end. He realized with sadness that he had accidentally got lost in the palace. The prince approached and decided that it was still time to make his own. He adjusted his glove and declared that he was determined to conquer her. There were rumors in the palace about a potion capable of imprisoning the soul. If a few drops fell on the body, Florandi's power could absorb it. The prince smiled and confessed that he had used it when he caught her. Imperceptibly, he poured a few orange drops on her neck. Prince Richard walked victoriously to the door and slammed it open. It didn't matter if he resisted or refused to open up. She entered, inquiring in a languid voice for the whereabouts of her kitten. Richard was so sure of winning that the smile would not be erased from his face. Finally, he looked straight ahead and noticed a slight movement behind the curtains. He felt like a predator when he saw some shoes poking out from there. Richard slowly approached the curtain and brushed it with his hand. He wanted to pounce on Lilith, but a woman suddenly appeared, preventing him. Richard looked annoyingly at Lady Shia, who was getting in his way again. The young woman reminded him that this was a living room, not his personal playground. Richard called her a simple court lady who meddled in his affairs. Lady Shia explained that she needed to prepare the room for the queen's arrival. Richard did not contradict her and looked back, preparing to leave. He pulled back the curtain and ordered that suspicious people should not be allowed to enter the queen's drawing room. The man was hoping to find Lilith, but he only found the shoes. He immediately asked, disappointed, where had he managed to leave to. Shia asked if perhaps they were performing any plays. She added that they should leave, but he angrily ordered her to be quiet. After this, he slowly left the room, saying that he had made a mistake. Lady Shia stood paralyzed in the same place, waiting for him to leave. She turned around and said she was lucky he didn't discover her. He was staring at Lilith Armada, who was hiding somewhere else. Shia asked who taught him how to neutralize the Florati poison. Lilith briefly replied that she got such knowledge from her mother. Shia said he was smart to decide to use the shoes as bait. She assumed that Richard could have killed her if she didn't arrive on time. Lilith looked at the lady and asked her why she was helping her. Shia just stepped back and said it wasn't the first time Richard had done that. The girl was surprised to hear that he had already drugged 5 people. The Florati poison was forbidden, which made one think about the prince's secret contacts. Lady Shia said guys like him are an embarrassment to royalty. Lilith asked why she didn't punish him for all this. The girl only replied that she was a simple lady, and they cover it up. Lilith frowned when she heard that the king is covering for the prince. Lady Shia asked him not to worry and just leave. He held out a cloak to her and promised that no one would know what happened. Lilith put on her cape and said she wouldn't forget her help. She wanted to leave the room, but Shia rushed to stop her. Shia recalled that the released blood retains some of the Florati poison. I wanted to know what she would do with the jar, but Lilith kept silent. The girl was sure that Richard would not stop until he achieved his goal. He knew perfectly well that he was going to take it out on the beautiful witch. He drew her to him and ordered her by magic to bring Lilith to his bedroom. The prince threatened her to go to the queen with this jar. He promised to tell that all his crazy things were the witch's idea. Bella tried to calm his anger and smiled sweetly at him. She asked if her beloved prince was threatening her. Richard smiled maliciously and said that he would not have obtained that potion without his help. He squeezed her chin and threatened to reveal that he was doing everything because of her witchcraft. The girl took his hand and asked him how he could do that to her. She gave him puppy dog eyes and blurted out that she did everything for him. He didn't finish talking when Sass slapped him, which hurt. He ordered her to continue to please him and bring Lilith before him. The blow was so brutal that Bella collapsed to the ground. He continued to give orders to the witch, furious at her silence. Looks like Richard crossed the line and blew up the one who put up with it so much. The prince suddenly realized that he could not move. Bella got up, smiled crookedly, and repeated her words. Richard felt a stabbing pain when she asked if it was just a toy. He smiled and asked her not to remind him of what he already knew too much. The girl shot a bright ray and sentenced that the situation had changed. He touched Richard's forehead, stating that now he would be his toy. As soon as he did that, his mind stopped working instantly. Bella decided to test the effect of the potion and ordered the bottle to be delivered to her. Using magic, he lifted the jar and aimed a lightning bolt. In the next instant, The jar shattered, destroying all evidence. He smiled sarcastically, asking why she wanted to use it while he despised her. Bella said she would correct him, took off her shoe, and extended her foot towards him. She smiled victoriously, waiting for the blind servitude of the prince. The girl froze when she saw the edge of a garment on the threshold. She hurried forward to examine the corridor immediately. Despite the absence, the feeling of being watched persisted. The darkness made her angry, preventing her from seeing absolutely anything. However, he was reassured to know that the evidence had been destroyed. He remembered Richard, who was completely under his control. The girl froze when she saw that he was holding a candle holder in his hands. He kept crawling, feeling the delicious aroma of the potion around him. Bella didn't understand who had left a candle with florati essence there. The girl realized that it had burned for a long time, and did not see the hand. In an instant, she felt Richard holding her tightly in his arms. As if hypnotized, he kept inhaling the witch's scent. She was trying to get him to stop, but he wouldn't stop. The prince confessed to being attracted by her hair and burning skin. Bella knew it was a trap, but her mind was also clouding over. She felt her body melting under Richard's passionate kisses. The young woman smiled pleasantly, wishing to reciprocate his caresses. They continued to lavish each other with ardent caresses, the product of the spell. They kissed so deeply that they forgot the outside world. Meanwhile, Lilith returned to the main banquet hall. One of the ladies asked him where he had been absent for so long. The princess smiled and said that she admired the moon on the balcony. He added that a spectacular meteor shower was expected today. Everyone around him supported his words. Getting old to see the phenomenon, the aristocrats, unanimous, decided to go to the balcony immediately. Only Isaac suspected that it was all part of Lilith's plan. The young woman smiled and looked at her fiancé with a hidden intention. Meanwhile, the aristocrats were witnessing a fiery encounter between Bella and Richard. One of the ladies, shocked, asked them how they could be so shameless. The turtle doves looked straight ahead and saw several stunned witnesses. Bella's dress was messy, and her hair was totally messed up. It seems that only such a shock could bring them out of the spell. They tried to justify themselves until Lilith stood in front of them. He gave them a look of contempt, as if insinuating something. Bella kept putting on the dress, saying that they were misunderstood. Richard pulled Bella aside and said that she used a love potion. The witch asked him, disappointed, why did he say that? Everyone started talking about the prince's already bad reputation. People were sure that he was to blame for all this. He shouted at them, threatening that the palace guard would arrest them. Lilith smiled and recommended him to control his emotions. The prince became even more enraged and asked how he dared to order him. He wanted to keep swearing until he heard a familiar voice that stopped him. In front of him was the luxuriously dressed queen, whom everyone was waiting for. Elena Carter fulminated him with her stern and implacable gaze. Instantly, Ricardo was frightened, realizing how precarious his situation was. The woman rebuked him, saying that he dishonored his father more and more. The prince threw himself at her feet and began to fervently beg for her forgiveness. He again tried to accuse Bella of using vile magic against his person. Bella rejected his words and said that she was not going to harm her fiancé. She sentenced that they should be sent together before the tribunal of the Holy Throne. The queen agreed and decided to stop inconveniencing her guests. Lilith suddenly blurted out that Bella did use forbidden potions. He held out to them a small bottle as irrefutable proof. Bella immediately protested, saying that it was pure nonsense. The witch knew that Lilith had set a trap for her, but she swore that the jar was destroyed. Lady Shia examined the vial and confirmed it was a forbidden potion. Lilith added that she tracked down the number of the jar and discovered that it disappeared from the warehouse after Bella's visit. She remarked that this did not involve the prince, since she had an authorized pass. The princess ruled that it did not matter who was the criminal and who the accomplice. His sins were just as serious for having mocked the young girls. Lilith bowed and begged the queen for justice. He asked to get rid of the source of such depraved behavior. Shia supported her, saying that the queen had given them many opportunities. The queen didn't say a word and gave a signal to the guards. They rushed to stop Prince Richard, holding him by the arms. He resisted, looking straight into Lilith's eyes. Richard declared that he was a prince and had the right to enjoy everything in the palace. The princess stated that the duty of a nobleman is to set an example. Do not abuse the power. Bella was carefully observing the girl's behavior and noticed one detail. She remembered that she had already heard that phrase from her sister when she was a child. Lily loved that line, and that's where he screwed up. Bella kept examining his face, as if looking for an answer. He smiled, feeling sorry that Lily was still alive. He accepted his defeat, thinking that he was wrong to choose the idiot Richard and not Isaac. Bella became enraged, thinking that Lily would not always be so lucky. It seemed that his power was beginning to dominate her, wanting to destroy her with everything. She looked at Richard, forcing him to obey her will. Yielding to a mad impulse, the prince freed himself from the guards. He hurried back, running to Princess Lilith. Bella smiled, knowing that she had managed to snatch a knife from a guard. Lilith didn't react when they were already there, brandishing a sword at her. She froze, not believing that she would find her end so quickly. The young woman closed her eyes, and then another sword stopped Richard's. It seems that the prince could not stand that force, and his sword shattered. Isaac rushed to protect his princess, who was in danger. She ordered him to get away from her and hit him right in the abdomen. Richard was still under control and got up quickly. His condition was betrayed by his lost and wandering gaze. Lilith reacted upon hearing her sister's incantation. She turned to Isaac and told him not to let her complete the spell. Lilith explained that Bella wants to kill people to silence them. Isaac immediately ran to his nephew and knocked him out with one blow. He glared at her, as if to show that he knew her motive. The next instant, he pointed his sword directly at her. The man asked him directly how he had dared to kill the prince. He drilled her with his furious look and said he could take her life right there. Bella smiled sarcastically and asked why she was saying that. Lilith said that Richard's strange behavior looked like a puppet potion. He suggested taking a look at the store where Bella buys her herbs and checking out her supplies. Lilith smiled and said that way it would be easy to prove what she was saying. Bella measured her with a mocking smile and asked if she was her dear sister. The princess pretended not to understand anything and said that they had met today. Bella lowered her head and said it didn't matter anymore. Everyone around froze as they saw the witch suddenly disappear. Lilith looked back and saw that she was standing on the railing. Isaac hurried to cover her and ordered her to be more careful. They saw how Bella's entire body began to emit an ominous light. She looked at them and declared that she didn't want to hide it anymore. Lady Shia rushed to warn the queen and hide. Bella said that it was too late, because magic and spells are only modest means. He looked into her eyes and named her his enigmatic Lady Lilith. The young woman raised her hand and sentenced that this palace would be the center of the storm. Lilith tried to stop her, warning her that the church would turn a blind eye to the spells. Still, they wouldn't forgive her for using such a powerful elemental magic. Despite all his words, there was no way to stop Bella anymore. He was not afraid of the death penalty or any punishment, because he wanted to destroy everything there. She smiled maliciously and declared that she was sick of seeing the smug faces of the nobles. The girl added that no one would know what happened if everyone there died. Lilith remembered that the ban on elemental magic existed because mortals do not have the power of the goddess. He realized that Bella was gradually drawing out everyone's life force. This was necessary to create an elementary miracle. It seems that Isaac noticed it too and rushed to protect her. An involuntary cut appeared on his face from the strong wind. Bella drew her sword and said that he deserved a special reward. She turned the sword with the wind and threatened her sister's throat. Lilith stood transfixed, watching the raging storm. Apparently, only Isaac was able to keep calm. He stood up abruptly and held out his hands in a strange gesture. The man bit his finger and said he would have to use his sword. Lilith was surprised when he started reciting a paladin's blessing. It seems that even the powerful witch Bella was shocked by her abilities. Isaac just smiled slyly, saying that they were absolutely right. The next instant, his entire body was glowing with an intense flame. and in his hands was a sword. It turned out that he was the heir of the sacred sword, and a fire knight. Bella recalled that knights were considered loyal allies of the goddess, and the strongest warriors. Isaac asked coldly if perhaps she was afraid. Bella raised her hands, and said that since the fall of Lania, nothing had been heard from them. She threw a gust of wind at him, and told him he might be bluffing. Isaac simply extended his sword forward, preparing to repel the attack. A bright ray of fiery flame began to form on his sword. That power emanated from the sword with which he thought to defeat Bella. He took advantage of the current of her air to propel its energy discharge. The next instant, the surrounding space burst into a glow. The energy released was so powerful that Lilith almost flew out. Isaac rushed to protect her, wrapping her in his arms. The girl felt intense embarrassment, mixed with confidence. Isaac patted her head, and told her not to be afraid, that everything was fine. The young woman could only trust him, staring intently into his red eyes. Meanwhile, Bella was in a tailspin after her defeat. She kept repeating that the Holy Knight had returned, as if bewitched. Isaac just approached the railing to observe his rival. He shot her a scornful look, and said it was all over. He ordered that witch to be chained up, and then sent to the masmorra of the church. The queen nodded at her decision, and turned her attention to Lilith. Isaac, without hesitation, squeezed her hand, and protected her with his body. Although he felt confusion, his protection was pleasant to him. The queen asked why the heiress of Lenny did nothing when the witch used her power. The young woman lowered her head, and argued that it was the moment of glory of the Holy Knight. She stared at him, and declared that she fully trusted her fiancé. Lilith observed the nobles and mentioned strange rumors she had heard before. They accused Isaac of practicing black magic, and of having become a monster. She winked mischievously, and said that, now, those accusations were refuted. The queen was silent when she saw that everyone was supporting the princess. Lady Shia declared that thanks to them, Bella's scandal had been revealed. The queen resigned herself, aware that too many people had witnessed everything. After hesitating for a moment, the woman said goodbye, ordering Isaac to take care of his fiancée. Lilith bowed in response, and thanked Shia for his help. The young woman minimized it, urging them to leave that place as soon as possible. He added that Isaac caused great concern in the Stuart lineage. Shia settled the matter, stating that they suspected him even more than that weak girl who hides behind the Leone lineage. Isaac frowned, understanding that his deception was obvious. Lilith noticed his confusion, and turned her gaze to the man. He plucked up the courage to ask her if she had done anything wrong. She felt silly for understanding absolutely nothing about politics. Isaac asked her not to worry, and said she was just nervous. Lilith blushed, and replied that she was not nervous at all. The man only smiled at her in response, and claimed that he was. She justified it by saying that she had even called him by name for the first time. Apparently, she realized for the first time how she had addressed him. After that conversation, they hurried back home. The time has come. Lily could finally return to her original form. For some reason, a tense silence took over the atmosphere. She noticed Isaac's gloomy face, and asked him if he was okay. The man immediately replied that he was simply tired. Lily told him that she had prepared enough potion for him. As soon as she expressed her concern, he recommended that she take care of herself. He leaned on her, and said that Bella could have loyal servants. Lily just snuggled up against him in response, and looked into his eyes. He asked her tenderly if she really wanted to see her father. The young woman looked away, feeling uncomfortable because of the closeness. He said that his father is in danger because of the curse of the puppet potion. He suddenly became gloomy and said that he could not wait any longer. Isaac calmly observed the girl's abrupt change of mood. He proposed to follow the plan, and then they stopped at the mansion. The girl decided to get back everything that once belonged to her. He threw a cloak over his shoulders and walked straight forward. Isaac got out of the carriage and looked thoughtfully at the girl. I understood that this operation could be dangerous for Lily. He snapped his fingers, and then Karen the Raven appeared in front of him. Isaac ordered him to follow her and protect her no matter what. The Raven asked if he would be okay, After using the power of the holy sword, Karen asked the man if he needed any protection. Isaac did not deign to answer him, and calmly rolled down his sleeve. He became gloomy as he saw the mark of the curse advancing on his body. Meanwhile, Lily was already scaring away the guard and the palace servants. The maid fell to the floor in fright, thinking it was a real ghost. Everyone believed that Lily was dead and did not expect to see her in front of them. The girl ordered them to kneel before the dead coming back from hell. The maid fell to the ground and said that Lady Bella had already left there. Lily looked around thoughtfully, as if looking for a confirmation of her words. He was worried that everything was empty and that the Duke's guards were missing. After that question, the maid unexpectedly fainted. It seems that his strange behavior alerted Lily even more. She snapped her fingers and was surprised that the maid felt bad just because of an illusion trick. He decided to seize the moment and head to the basement. A long way downstairs awaited the young woman. Involuntarily, she remembered how young the maid was at their last meeting. Now, he looked at least 20 years older. Lily didn't even expect to be able to get in so easily. He had to find his sister Bella's underground laboratory. He was looking for antidotes for his potions, but he found a hooded stranger. He hid himself, assuming that he was a servant of Bella. Lily didn't know who it was, but she got to safety. She immediately feared that she would not be able to defeat him alone. He wanted to wait for the right moment, but he hit a jar. The man making the potion instantly turned around because of the noise. Lily wanted to run away, but something left her paralyzed. I couldn't believe it. That man was her father. Meanwhile, the maid was still crying for another victim. He feigned joy and asked if she was really his daughter. He wanted to run to hug her, but she made a cut on his chest. As soon as the fabric was torn, she discovered a dark mark. It was a blood curse, seen only in black magicians. She burst into tears, demanding that he explain to her how his mother died. The man just smiled dementedly and asked what he was talking about. He shuddered and said that all this happened because of the beautiful witch. Lily immediately connected the smell of the potions and the old maid. He also noticed a strange jar, wrapped in bandages. The girl discovered with sadness that it was a real curse urn. I couldn't believe my eyes when I found a blonde hair inside. The girl's heart sank when she realized that they were her mother's ashes. All this only indicated that he was not under the effects of the puppet potion. She understood that her father himself offered sacrifices for eternal life. She did not finish speaking when an unknown force dragged her back. Black bars enveloped the girl, depriving her of the possibility of breathing. His father controlled them, saying that his body was gradually aging. He was holding a bright glass, saying that he was forced to do all this. He smiled and said that only demons could grant him a new life. After these words, the black bars tightened their grip on the young woman's neck more tightly. Lily tried to separate them, but every second cost her a world. The man said that his mother was the first victim of this curse. He threw her to the ground and told her that it was her turn now. Her father was holding a glass in his hand and then stroked her chin. The man felt how the wrinkles on his face were gradually smoothing out. He said that the more he resisted, the more energy he would get. He hadn't finished the ritual when Karen snatched the crystal from his hands. The violet magic crystal shattered against the ground. As soon as the bird tried to fly, its entire body was paralyzed. The man said with victory that the curse affected everyone in that dungeon. He bound his victims even more, feeding on their life force. Lily felt her body getting weaker with every passing second. The man was frozen with astonishment when he saw Isaac appear after him. It seems that he finally let his monstrous essence come to light. At first, Roland mistook him for a monster, until he saw that he was the prince. At that moment, he still did not realize that his minutes were numbered. Isaac said that, in the name of the Stuart lineage, he was condemning him to death. Lily opened her eyes and felt hope when she saw the man there. As soon as he attacked his father, the black bars disappeared instantly. Lily knew her father was dead, but they had no other choice. He jumped up and saw a bloody body next to him. It seemed like she couldn't accept being an orphan now. He saw a man covered in blood and asked him what he was doing there. He didn't look like the Isaac she knew before. As soon as he took Karen, He felt a curse consuming him. He squeezed the bird furiously and remembered that he ordered to protect Lily at all costs. Lily saw where everything was going and squeezed his hand, begging him to stop. Isaac was furious, but her touch calmed him down for an instant. She cried again, almost begging him not to destroy the helper. The girl clung to his hand and began to tell him that he was not like that. As soon as she asked him not to do something she would regret, he came to himself for a second. Her memories were projected into her mind, consumed by the curse. He remembered how he longed to see her sweet smile and strove for her. Now he noticed that her beautiful face was distorted by sadness. It seems that it helped him react, and he was able to ask for forgiveness. The man was consumed by the unleashed fury and freed Karen. He calmly looked at his beloved and begged her not to cry. He gently ran his hand through her blonde hair and hugged her tightly. Isaac inhaled her floral fragrance and said he didn't want to see her sad. After these events, he dreamed of memories of his forgotten childhood. That day, for the first time, he was asked if he was ready to accept this heavy gift. The boy replied to his father that he was ready, if that would bring peace. Then he dreamed again that he was holding the delicate hand of his beloved. She was looking at him with such tenderness that you could read her feelings in her. The next moment he suddenly opened his eyes, as if waking up from a nightmare. He immediately noticed the cheerful girl, from whose eyes tears welled up. The man looked around in surprise, not even knowing how much he had slept. Lily blushed when she saw his unusual hand gesture. I still didn't understand how I felt about him after the last events. Resentment and the love that burned in her chest were fighting in her at the same time. Apparently, Isaac also did not understand the reason for his strange mood change. He frowned thoughtfully, trying to remember everything from yesterday. He realized that he acted calmly in front of the daughter, of whom he ruined himself. Isaac tightened the sheet, thinking that he had already lost his mind. He held his head warily and told himself that was no excuse. The man thought for the first time that it was all because of his desire to avenge her and be close. However, it seemed to him that it was unlikely that she would open her heart to him again. He reacted to hearing Catherine's cheerful voice. The maid smiled and told him that he had been unconscious for a whole week. She explained that her curse managed to aggravate and take away a lot of strength. He remembered how bloody he was when Karen and Lily brought him in. The man immediately asked if Karen was okay. It seems that Catherine was surprised by his concern, but assured that he was safe and sound. Isaac didn't show it, but he was ashamed of what he did yesterday. She smiled and unconsciously thanked Lily. Catherine was surprised and then mentioned that Lily was preparing her father's funeral. It seems that the maiden's words brought him back to reality. The whole palace found out that Duke Roland performed a bloody ritual, and Lily was exonerated. He was also promised that his noble title would be returned to him soon. When Isaac heard this, he ordered his finery and his scepter to be prepared. Meanwhile, Lily was looking thoughtfully at her parents' coffins. I felt an emptiness in my heart, but not a tear could I shed. Those present were not going to miss the opportunity to criticize the poor lady. Lily ignored them and decided to say goodbye to her beloved parents. He wished that his father's soul would find repentance and his mother would rest in peace. Shia announced that his father would not be allowed to be buried in the noble cemetery. Lily knew this, but she still decided to show up to say a final goodbye to him. In addition, the queen ordered a temporary freeze on the assets of the Roland house until Lily accepted the title. The woman added that the church would take the duke's body the next day. Lily burst into tears and then said that she wanted to forget this dirty past. Scornfully, he bit his lip and declared that he was renouncing his lineage. The girl was sure of her desire, but a familiar voice said that she would not allow it. Lily turned around and saw in front of her an elegant Isaac. She wiped away her tears and hurried to ask him how he had got there. I couldn't believe that he had decided to come to this place too. She felt uncomfortable by his touch, as she still remembered about yesterday. She looked at him in amazement when he touched her with the scepter. He unexpectedly swore to give him a third of his land on the other side of the river. The man decided to do this as compensation for the death of his father because of him. Shia immediately turned to him and asked if he understood what he was saying. Lily understood the situation and protested, saying that everyone knows about it. He buttoned his coat tightly and said it wasn't his fault. The girl had to shut up. When he put a finger on her lips, he smiled sweetly, looking into her eyes, and asked her not to refuse. I had little time to protect her and help her get everything back. After that ceremony, they hurried back. Lily was trying to reach the man to talk about what happened. She honestly admitted that she felt very uncomfortable by his words. The girl looked at Isaac thoughtfully and asked if anything was bothering him. Apparently, he managed to touch the fragile strings of his distant soul. He suddenly turned to her and told her that she was very insightful. Isaac hugged the girl and thanked her for not rejecting his gift in front of everyone. Lily declared that she could not accept such a valuable possession. She wanted to add that she was just an apostate, but he demanded that she keep quiet. Isaac caressed her face and told her that this was not over yet, since she was still his. He wanted to finish speaking, but a horrible pain shot through his entire body. He felt so bad that he even gnashed his teeth from that feeling. Lily instantly screamed, demanding that someone come to help. He felt his entire body weaken as a mark spread across him. He conveyed to Catherine that they should take him to the room with the highest temperature. Catherine was surprised to hear that they would have to wash it too. In the end, the girls undressed Isaac and took him to the bathroom. It was the first time Lily had seen the curse move so fast. He sensed that something was wrong and decided to prepare all the medicines. The maid replied that she had asked for too much and they could not get everything together right away. Lily froze when he added that he would hurry the servants right away. Finally, she was left alone with Isaac. By the steam, she herself felt how her whole body was impregnated with that heat. She decided to take off her top clothes as she thought she was going to suffocate. He caressed Isaac and told him that he had to endure. Lily clearly did not expect him to wake up with just one sentence. Her face lit up instantly under his intense gaze. She didn't even notice the moment he took her by the hand and pulled her down. Lily plunged into the water and then felt a passionate kiss. She tried to move away, but he only drew her more strongly to himself. The man hugged the soaked girl as if he was afraid of losing her. His delicate skin provoked an immense desire to dig his fangs into it. Apparently, the girl felt his desire to bite her and asked him. Isaac hesitated, like a wild predator, and then quietly confirmed his suspicion. In the next instant, he bent down to take the long-awaited bite. Lily was ready to allow him, but he stepped aside on his own. He said that a monster like him should not ask him for anything more. Lily noticed his confusion and decided to give him her support. He explained that he had completely lost his father since he sold his soul to the devil. Lily, with sadness in her voice, added that she was only afraid of losing him. Isaac couldn't answer and chose to kiss her again. Lily was surprised to notice that it was a real kiss, not bloodlust. She felt tenderness and sadness at the same time, but her heart kept melting. They indulged in tenderness until they heard the tinkle of a jar. The girl got scared and immediately pushed her passionate suitor away. They stood transfixed like schoolboys and saw Catherine in front of them. The maid instantly apologized for unintentionally interrupting them. Lily blushed when he added that they could get on with their business. He got out of the pool in the blink of an eye and said he would go get the medicine. Lily ran out of the bathroom as fast as possible. Catherine was surprised to realize that she did not even ask the name of the drug. Meanwhile, Lily stood transfixed in front of the closed door, trying to catch her breath. He felt all thoughts leave his head in an instant. The girl let herself fall to the ground, trying to understand why he had kissed her. She pressed her flushed cheeks with shame, thinking that he loved her. The young woman quickly dismissed such thoughts, looking for a hidden reason in everything. She instantly analyzed her changing emotions and sudden desires, nor would the basement incident when he lost control leave her alone. All this indicated that something bad is happening to him. Meanwhile, Catherine thoughtfully took some matches in her hands, carefully lit a candle, and placed it on the tiled floor. The girl covered Isaac with a towel and asked him how he was feeling. He remembered the priest's words about the spread of the curse, seeming like a countdown. He knew that the final stage of the curse would mean the end of his life. After that, they both looked down at the floor, thoughtful. Catherine understood that it was true. but she still wanted to cheer him up. She looked at the silent Isaac and asked if Lily knew. He only answered briefly that she should not know. Isaac believed that she stayed only out of a sense of duty and benefit. For that reason, he did not wish her to take on such a responsibility. Catherine explained that Lily would not worry so much about him if he were an ordinary man. She came to his ear and told him that it was not responsibility, but love. The girl smiled maliciously and said that they were the most treacherous feelings for a woman. Isaac was so surprised that fear was reflected in his eyes. He was paralyzed when Catherine asked him if he felt anything. She remembered how he was willing to sacrifice himself for her and give up the possibility of breaking the curse. After these words, Isaac fell into deep sleep, caused by the candle. The maid gently accommodated him on her lap, as if she wanted to protect him. She smiled pleased, contemplating who was now at her mercy. Then he picked up the candle and blew it out, plunging everything into darkness. He said that he had fallen madly in love with Lily, as his mother did. Unfortunately, that love sentenced her to certain death. A few minutes later, Lily entered the room with a worried expression. He was surprised not to see Isaac, and said he had brought his medicine. Catherine replied that he was exhausted and had gone to rest in his quarters. He added that he had fallen asleep, and asked if she wanted to leave him a message. Lily instantly thought, what kind of man falls asleep after a kiss? She looked up when the maid decided to tell her something important. The maid, with a malicious smile, declared that her revenge was over. He lied, relaying Isaac's words. In 3 days, he would return to the Duchy Roland. The young woman could hardly believe that he had decided to send her away. Catherine smiled and said that it was a simple termination of their agreement. She added that it might even be something beneficial for her. After this, he locked the door, leaving Lily alone with her ideas. She did not understand why this separation should be a blessing to her. He kept going over options until he finally understood the reason. Lily froze, clearly feeling that Isaac was in danger. She immediately knocked on his door, demanding that he let her in. The girl pounded with her fists until she saw the magic patterns. Looks like the dilapidated maid made sure I couldn't get in. Lily looked at her hands cautiously and saw that they were burned. She cried, saying she just wanted to share that pain with Isaac. I didn't know that Catherine had planned everything. Thinking that he was walking away, Lily clenched her fists firmly and promised herself that she would not give up. She remembered his face and understood clearly that she had always loved him. Meanwhile, Isaac finally woke up after a deep sleep. He almost jumped out of fright when he saw his body bound with chains. Catherine smiled sweetly and asked if he was hungry. He ordered her to release him, but she no longer reacted. She put a plate on the table and said it was all for his sake. He asked if he was so blinded by feelings that he forgot the dangers. Catherine leaned close to his face, like a strict mother. He reminded her that he even used the Holy Knight's power, speeding up the curse. The girl added contemptuously that he had completely forgotten his goal. He reminded her that Lily Roland was his last cure. Isaac couldn't hear her anymore and yelled at her to shut up. Catherine said that, in the worst case, they would have to sacrifice someone. They both understood that no one would fit into that role better than Lily. Her words angered him, making him try to escape from the cage. Catherine ordered him to surrender, with no hope of breaking those chains. He also warned her that she would die if she didn't use the Holy Knight's power. Isaac angrily declared that he would not allow Lily to sacrifice herself for him. He looked into the maid's eyes and saw contempt in them. She smiled with a sarcastic smile and said that Lily would be back very soon. Catherine added maliciously that they would soon see how much she cared for him. She assumed that the girl would be capable of anything in order to save him. It was as if he knew that Lily was going to the Church of the Crescent Kingdom. The young woman met with Shia to attend the fast. In this place, her sister Bella was burned and reduced to ashes. It seems that even Lily did not understand the desperate step she was going to take. I was looking at the burned column that no one wanted to use. Shia asked if she was really ready to perform the ritual for him. He added that he could give her the opportunity to talk to the spirits linked to that column. Shia said that one of those spirits might know how to break the curse. He warned that she might also not respond to him, and she might become just another spirit. Shia looked at his travel companion and did not see a shadow of doubt on her face. She accepted and begged him to perform the ritual for her. Shia sat the girl on his lap and recited the necessary prayer. With each new word, the pillar lit up even more with blue flames. Lily didn't even realize when she found Isaac in his childhood form. It was as if he was watching from afar events that were once exciting. That day, Isaac was standing, talking to his father, who was holding a little girl. He introduced his son to Catherine and told her that now she would serve him. The boy looked surprised at the one who was still a child. She looked at him with her clear gray eyes, as if she were giving him an answer. Despite his childish consciousness, it seemed that he already understood everything at that moment. He refused, saying that he already had maids, but they explained to him that his family had perished. Her father begged her to take care of her, but he answered the man with the same words. He simply left, stating that he could not take care of her because of her affairs. From that moment, he and Catherine grew up together, as a servant and a master. Catherine shyly apologized and tugged at his shirt sleeve. She smiled and asked if she could call him Isaac. Her childish smile captivated him so much that he could not refuse. I couldn't even imagine that one day that smile would turn into betrayal. For the first time, he understood that she had used his weaknesses and turned him into a puppet. Isaac demanded to know what exactly he had said to Lily. Catherine smiled and said that she should turn to the church if she wanted to meet with her beloved. She turned maliciously, adding that she would perform the same ritual as her mother. Betting his soul, he would mingle with the world of the dead. He had to resign himself to the possibility of not leaving that place. Isaac froze, foreshadowing the worst possible outcome. He was so furious and exhausted that he even tried to use his power. Catherine stopped in her tracks, feeling a bright golden flame envelop her. She reminded him that he could hasten his own death. He only replied darkly that he could destroy her at any moment. Isaac demanded that she release him and make sure Lily was safe. The curse began to spread through his body from the force he used. The maid smiled, asking if he was threatening her, using himself as a hostage. He took out a coin and said that he had already given orders to the guards on his behalf. Catherine took care of everything to leave him no options. He declared that if anything happened here, the Stewart family would destroy Roland. As soon as he heard that, his magic power completely vanished. He noticed that Catherine skillfully used different levers of power. He exhaled warily and asked her why she was doing all this. The maid only smiled maliciously and asked if it was so hard for her to understand. He stroked her head and said he wanted to show how pathetic love is. Catherine crept up on him and demanded to remember her mother's death. Meanwhile, Lily had already summoned the spirits and was in limbo. His soul temporarily left his body and entered the sacred pillar wasteland. Countless spirits roamed here, including his own family. However, he had to resist attempts to interfere in the ritual. His mission was to find the Queen of the Night, who died 300 years ago. She was a descendant of witches and knew the way to break the lunar curse. As soon as Lily stepped on that land, the forgotten souls pounced on her. They wanted him to give them, even if it was a small part of his life. His life. The young woman thought it was her end, but Isaac held her hand tightly. I couldn't believe what his eyes were seeing, to find him in such a place. He stared at her and asked her what the hell she was doing there. Isaac hugged her tightly, telling her how long he had been looking for her. Lily, stunned, reminded him of those words she heard from Catherine. He ordered her to forget that immediately and confessed that he waited too long for her. The girl asked if he was really avoiding her, and not because of the curse. He smiled sweetly and replied that he wanted to stay with her forever. Isaac moved closer to her lips, feeling how she was abandoning herself to him. As soon as he felt the touch of her lips, he suddenly found himself on a bed. She suddenly opened her eyes, totally confused, and saw a man in front of her. He pressed her against the bed, inhaling the scent of her long hair. Isaac begged her not to reject him, and to remember how much he had missed her. She turned away, saying embarrassed that now was not the time for that. Despite that, he continued to seduce her with his penetrating gaze. With each new kiss, her body bristled even more intensely. He asked her if she would accept to be his. When the time came, Lily cross-examined him, as if she sensed that something was wrong. Isaac smiled maliciously, and told her that he only wanted her. Instantly, his face darkened, terrifyingly demanding that it belonged to him. At first, Lily did not understand that she had been cheated on and kept looking at him. She was so mesmerized that she almost promised him her soul. He was pressing her ominously, demanding that she accept to be his. He did not manage to answer. When her image was faded by prayer, her mask fell and finally, he showed himself before her in his true form. The girl scornfully pressed her hand to her chest and ordered the evil spirit to retreat. The spirit recognized that the priestess managed to implant such a trap in his mind. She told him that he shouldn't have impersonated Isaac and tricked her like that. The spirit expressed pity, understanding that he also lacked to make his own. He wanted to snatch her soul so that she would not return to the world of the living. The spirit smiled and said that they take shape according to their heart memories. She froze when she heard that everything she saw was a projection of her desires, hidden. The girl asked him directly who he really was. She started listing options, after which he ordered her to be quiet. He said that if she said that name, they would both die. She wanted to name Oranto, who was the most powerful witch of the legends. For its destruction, it took the strength of the entire church and the kingdom of Lenny. The evil spirit ordered him to leave and not look for that damn woman. Lily was shocked at how much she got scared after his words. As soon as he changed his shape, she recognized that he was not a simple evil spirit. He came to the conclusion that he had heard about the lunar curse. The spirit ordered him to surrender, saying that without the sacred power of Laania, he would achieve nothing. In response, Lily just smiled and asked for help. He smiled with a sarcastic smile and asked, how was he going to pay for it? The girl became alert when he named the body, mind and luck. Before she could react, a huge cage fell on her. It crashed to the ground with a clatter, depriving her of the possibility of escape. The spirit familiarly put a hand on her and said it was too late to back down. From the top of the cage, a discharge was heard that descended to the bottom. He said that in 1 hour his soul and body would be separated forever and would be his food. Lily immediately recognized that she was in a cage to devour souls. The spirit smiled and said that he was on the verge of exhaustion. After the words of exile, he added that she would not be able to see his true form or know his past. The girl calmly stated that the answer to that was quite obvious. He said his name was Marine Kraken, and he was absolutely right. The spirit cried out in anguish, feeling his whole body and the cell crumble. Even his fist, with which he wanted to hit her, fell apart into pieces. This fall created a current of wind, but Lily resisted it. He looked forward and saw the true form of the spirit without the darkness. In front of Lily appeared a young man with blue hair, with an unusual appearance. Lily smiled and said that an evil spirit, whose name has been revealed, can do no harm. He also added that he was a knight of Oranto, but she abandoned him, and he died in battle in the Western Sea. After that, the church cruelly incinerated him and completely destroyed him. They even displayed his skull as a trophy on the throne. The Kraken looked at her with disgust and asked her why she was telling all that. She smiled and asked him if he knew what he could do with her remains. It seems that she managed to scare him, since part of her power resided in them. He tried to dissuade her, because he understood that without them he would weaken even more. Lily smiled victoriously and ordered to be helped with the curse. The Kraken said that the soul of his former mistress was in a dormant state. He added that he could walk into the hospital of his conscience and steal the witch's book. The young man smiled confidently and said that he would find just what he needed there. Despite the manipulation and blackmail, Lily sincerely thanked him for the gesture. Just a few minutes ago, he wanted to destroy her, but she was still kind. She declared that the man she was trying to save was really lucky. She blushed and promised to come back soon, preventing her from being another victim of the Stuarts. Kraken was surprised to discover that she did not know that part of the story. She revealed to him that before her, another woman had already performed the ritual in that place. Although she was abandoned after giving birth to her son, she prayed for her husband's success. Lily did not even suspect that, at that precise moment, that son was in chains. Catherine once again reminded Isaac how his mother implored the spirits. Despite her loyalty, she was manipulated and thrown into a dungeon. Catherine smiled, stating that love makes people stupid. Isaac kept listening to their arguments, saying absolutely nothing. After a short pause, he muttered under his breath that all that was a lie. Catherine bowed contemptuously and ordered him to repeat what he had said. Isaac instantly seized the opportunity and grabbed her hand. With a sudden movement, he broke the chains and threw the maiden to the ground. He stared at her and told her that Lily did not look like her mother. Isaac twisted his arm and told him that he didn't look like his father either. Finally, he concluded that he was not going to use Lily as a medicine. Catherine thoughtfully noticed that he was playing weak on purpose. She screamed, saying she just wanted to save him. Isaac did not agree with her methods and looked at her with contempt. He released her and said that a servant would not dare to lock up his master, as she did. The man stated that she tied him up out of a desire to possess him. She planned all this for a long time because of her strong envy towards Lily. He added that he mocks love because he is afraid of its forbidden feelings. Isaac looked at the maid and demanded that she admit that she loves him. She froze when he added that this forbidden love is driving her crazy. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she hid them behind a laugh. She got up and said that she had taken care of him since she was a child. Even after the witch's attack, he stayed by her side and did everything as much as possible. She burst into tears, saying that it had always been her, not Lily, who was there. However, she understood that she would never be worthy enough to be his wife. He smiled bitterly, understanding that this was simply impossible. Catherine clung to him and asked if she should be his servant forever. Isaac calmed down and told her that he had always valued her concern for him. He wiped away her tears and added that they could never be together. She withdrew her hand and said that she herself knew the reason. The man smiled thoughtfully and declared that they shared the same blood. Catherine trembled with fear when she heard him called the dear sister. I couldn't imagine that he would discover this secret. The young woman immediately turned away from him, as if he were crazy. She cried even harder, and asked him when he had noticed. He just sighed wearily, and said that he knew since they met. Catherine was so shocked by the truth that she could not say anything. She saw that he was leaving, and decided to ask him where he was going. Isaac calmly replied that he would go to the church so that the spirits would return Lily. Catherine immediately said that her soul was irretrievable and that she should not take such a risk. He just smiled and said that he had already accepted the possibility of dying a long time ago. He was willing to pay any price for his return, even death. Isaac called himself a monster, stained with blood and sins. He turned to Catherine and asked her to draw up a well, if he cared. He did not finish speaking when a well-known girl burst into the room. Isaac couldn't believe that everything was resolved so quickly. In front of him was Lily, the one for whom he was willing to give his life. His face radiated security, as if he had discovered a secret. He asked directly what was going on and why he was there. Lily ran to the man and said she had searched all over the castle. She was also outraged by his tragic words about the well. She had many more questions, but he interrupted them with a simple hug. Isaac couldn't seem to believe that she was alive and standing in front of him. He immediately questioned her about whether she had been injured by evil spirits. The next instant, he fell unconscious to the ground, and marks spread all over his body. His whole body, including his face, was covered with those ominous signs. Lily immediately rushed at him, desperately trying to revive him. Catherine ordered him to release him and not to worsen his already critical situation. It seems that during this time, the maid managed to annoy her quite a lot. Catherine leaned her head on her knees and called her disobedient. He added that his deal was over and that he no longer had anything to do in that castle. The maid confessed that she thought of summoning spirits for him. He shot Lily a hard look and assumed she escaped at the last second. Lily froze when she added that it was all due to her weakness. He walked straight up to Catherine and gave her a loud slap. It seems that the maid never believed that sweet Lily was capable of this. Lily asked if he always blamed others when there was a crisis. He added that if he continued like this, Isaac might die. Lily ordered to prepare 20 candles, lamb's blood, pearl powder, and salt water. He shouted at her, demanding that she hurry up immediately. Catherine was surprised when considering the combination of ingredients. Lily added that she learned from the spirits how to break the curse. The maid felt ashamed of what he had said about her earlier. Meanwhile, Lily bit her finger and started drawing a sign with blood. He slowly traced a pentagram on the hairy beast's paw. As soon as he did, he began to gradually transform. You could tell by the fur, which started to disappear little by little. He declared that this was only the first stage to lift the curse. Catherine returned to the ramblings and accused her of desecrating her body. Lily asked if she had a sacred way to break the curse. He took a leaf and placed it on the throat of the annoying maid. The girl said she could punish her if things went wrong. She ordered him to do his duty as a servant and help her. Catherine bit her lip as she felt the blade pressing on her neck. Just a couple of minutes later, she brought him all the ingredients. Lily discovered that these materials were far from necessary. He exhaled warily, realizing that they didn't have much time left. Catherine called her cocky and promised to take revenge if she failed. Lily kept silent and dipped her finger into the balsamine juice. He slowly slid it across his lips and recited a prayer. The girl kissed Isaac so that the juice and his blood reached his lips. Labios. Catherine saw how everything around her lit up and felt jealous. It hurt her that it was not she who saved him, but someone else. Lily concluded that it remained only to wait for him to wake up. Catherine cried with happiness when she saw that the curse had been broken. The next instant, Isaac opened his eyes and saw the girl. She was smiling, beaming, happy that everything had worked out. The man thoughtfully assumed that he was still alive. However, he was still disturbed by one controversial point. She looked at Lily again and asked who was behind her. Kraken smiled when he saw who a well-known figure was. He asked if he really wanted to save this weak and sickly man. Lily reprimanded him for that lack of respect towards the crown prince. The girl helped him to get up from the floor carefully, aware of his weakness. After a brief silence, Isaac declared that the castle did not welcome intruders. It seems that he realized that Catherine tried to pierce him with her sword. The young woman was amazed to discover that what she was seeing was a real mirage. Isaac added that, above all, he did not like the uninvited dead. He got up and claimed to have seen his portrait in banned books. He was considered guardian of the depths of the ancient underwater village and knight of the ancient witch. Isaac quite quickly identified the Kraken demon in him. The spirit smiled when Isaac asked why he was next to Lily. He scolded him for treating the one who had saved his life like that. The crown prince could hardly believe that a Kraken had saved him. Lily stepped in and said she wouldn't have broken the curse without her help. Shortly before the ritual, he gave her the witch book that Oranto left. He held out the book to her and told her that it would now be part of her consciousness. The Kraken told him to pronounce Oranto's name 3 times to read it. Lily thanked him and asked him what he would have to give in return. It turns out that the Kraken asked her to be his personal spirit. Lily saw Isaac's surprise and explained that she did it for the book. She confessed to letting him in and sneaking him out of the church. The Kraken confirmed his words, saying that now he would not be able to move further than 10 meters away. It seemed that Isaac's displeasure amused him quite a lot. After hearing all that information, the crown prince rubbed the bridge of his nose warily. After this incident, they went to sleep, waiting for the arrival of a new day. Isaac had recovered from his weakness and was already carefully choosing his outfit. He was arranging himself with such care, as if a crucial event awaited him. A few minutes later, Lily, with a radiant smile, entered her room. He bowed, happy that he had been freed from the curse. The girl added that he was the crown prince again, descended from the heavens. It seems that Isaac had already become unaccustomed to such warm moments. He exhaled and asked if she really saw him that way. Lily smiled and said that I should return to the duchy. After all, the abandoned estate and the servants were waiting for the heiress, and the curse was healed. After these words, he turned and left without saying goodbye. She thought he would let her go, but Isaac begged him not to leave. He caught her attention and asked her if she had forgotten everything. She reminded him how, not long ago, he had called her his fiancée in public. Lily immediately protested awkwardly saying that it was just a game. Isaac said that it was not so, and kissed her hand tenderly. He sincerely begged for such a special girl to stay with him. The man turned his gaze towards her, as if at last she would open her soul to him. Lily was amazed by his unexpected feelings, so similar to her own. She threw herself into his arms, which were worth 1,000 words. Isaac reflected that it was not she who should leave that castle. First of all, he had to get rid of someone else. After a while, he went to his sister's room. He made her very tense after receiving her with a sepulchral silence. Catherine saw his mood, and felt that the end was approaching. His look said it, which only expressed contempt. The girl felt ashamed, but she was unable to articulate a word. He stood up suddenly and declared that he did not deserve any forgiveness. Catherine accepted any punishment, as long as she stayed by his side. He was almost begging her, offering to use his abilities as he wished. The young woman was ready to give up her life, but he interrupted her. He told her he wasn't interested in fixing anything, and called the guard. They threw her belongings at her feet, and then he sentenced that he was coming to expel her. Catherine couldn't believe she made such a cruel decision. He began to argue that he could not survive without his right hand and confidant. Finally, she concluded that she was his sister, and should therefore be forgiven. Isaac was silent, feeling his blood boil with rage. She appealed to pity, saying that her father owed a debt to her and her mother. Catherine cried, reproaching him that she did not value her family ties. Isaac declared that precisely for this reason, their separation would be beneficial. He said he didn't need a maid trying to control her master. Isaac became even more enraged, and added that she had dared to treat his fiancé badly. He said that they could see each other when she gave up her strange desires. Isaac put an end to their relationship, wishing her a happy journey. She fell to her knees and asked how she could dispose of it as if it were garbage. She was trying to scream at him, but he was relentless. Catherine dropped the bomb. Lily ordered him to punish her. Isaac glared at her, demanding absolute silence. She revealed that she planned to banish her, but Lily interceded for her. The man threw a paper at his feet, with a marked location. Just before he had confided his concerns to Lily, he believed that they should stay as far away from each other as possible. Lily begged to at least let her stay in the New Moon realm. He showed compassion, sensing the regret in his heart. He wanted to be cruel, but his words made Isaac change his mind. The girl smiled and confessed she also had a sister once, although there was enmity between them. After her loss, Lily felt no joy for revenge. Now she just felt a loneliness that completely consumed her. He stroked the man's head, trying to ease his distress. Lily said she didn't want to force him to choose between her and his only sister. Isaac said nothing, but his words strongly influenced his decision. Lily said she could help get him a position at an herb shop. She smiled, giving him the hope that someday Catherine would clarify his feelings. Isaac was still angry with his sister, but when he saw Lily's smile, his heart warmed up. Meanwhile, Catherine was precisely reading the letter that her brother had sent her. He felt a mixture of bitterness and sadness, but he was pleased by her concern. As soon as he remembered her words, a heartbreaking sob rose from his chest. Isaac could only watch as his carriage drove away, getting lost in the distance. He said goodbye, assuring that only then could she find the longed-for freedom. Now he too could live in peace and love, with the one who was really his home.